Deprive him entirely. I wish to observe the arsenal possessed by Earth's males. The general's voice resonated through the metallic chamber, a commanding thunderclap. Her luminous eyes flashed with annoyance as the human male remained composed, thumbs casually hooked into his gym shorts, a mischievous smirk dancing on his lips. "Absolutely certain you're prepared, darling?" Carl inquired, cocking his head as though he were about to peddle a pre-owned vehicle and a complimentary protein concoction. The guards faltered, not out of dread for her, but out of apprehension for him, ever since the extraction. This man's capture defied every established protocol. He exhibited zero panic, no fear, and utterly refused to beg. He even nonchalantly requested his sunglasses before teleportation. Now, exposed to the warship's harsh illumination, his torso revealed a pale expanse, sparsely populated with graying hairs. His physique suggested a man who had flirted with fitness, but ultimately surrendered to comfort. "Have you extraterrestrials ever considered the concept of consent?" he inquired coolly. "Or is your standard operating procedure a probe first, ask questions later type of scenario?" Scaria advanced, her imposing form clad in shimmering black armor that pulsed with each respiration. Her stark voice cut through the air. "You've been chosen for intense compatibility, stress testing for our elite warriors. Compliance is mandatory." Earth male Carl. His gaze lingered, perhaps a fraction too long, on her sculpted thighs. "I'll need a safe word and a towel. Maybe dinner first? No? Fine, let's improvise." She simply blinked, masking her annoyance. "Begin the evaluation." The floor beneath him ignited, scanners swirling around his physique, buzzing with violet energy. A serpentine metallic arm lunged, attempting to seize his wrist. He evaded it with the grace of dodging a clumsy bee. "Oh, come on," Carl quipped, grumbled, extending. "That gives me the giggles." "Seriously? No prep work? Has no one here ever encountered the concept of a prelude?" The team shared looks. "Is this typical Earthling conduct?" This experiment was supposed to trigger mental stress, extreme sensory input, spatial confusion, vulnerability. But instead, the subjects slinging wisecracks and attempting a moonwalk. Readings are skewed. A tech whispered, "Dopamine spiking, but no signs of panic. He's loving this." Scaria muttered, barely audible. Carl overheard, "Was that your clumsy attempt at flirting? Let's be real, I know I'm captivating even in these gym socks, but..." "Let's maintain utmost professionalism," Scary growled, eyes narrowed menacingly. The next phase commenced with a sinister hiss emanating from concealed vents. A mist-like vapor slithered around his boots, carrying a faint scent of cinnamon and charred rubber. "Threxin pheromone gas," he clarified, "engineered to overwhelm the primal mind with intense longing, a weaponized aphrodisiac." Carl recoiled, coughing. "Jesus, are you trying to charm me or exterminate a rodent?" Scary advanced, a predatory glint in his eyes. "These compounds ignite fundamental reproductive urges in 99. "Responding? More like reliving childhood asthma and battling your perfume," Carl quipped. The crew watched, stunned. No one had faced Phase 2 without utter breakdown. Carl? He just needed eye drops. "Scary ass," Jaw's voice dropped. "Initiate bio-interface simulation." Carl smirked. "Third base already?" A chirping drone descended, language he didn't comprehend. A suite of adaptable extensions unfurled. One boasted a gentle gel cushion. Another pulsed with buzzing tips. A third vibrated with a menacing hum. Carl retreated. Look, I've explored uncharted territories back in college, but mechanized intimacy is where I draw the line. Scaria snapped. Hold your ground. Not until you clarify the purpose of that spinning nozzle. Is it for high-pressure cleansing or prostate assessments? Scaria gestured. The drone lunged. Carl intercepted it, wrenching the wiring out with a forceful grunt. Sparks erupted. The drone crumpled. Deflated sex toy, the room went deathly silent. One technician murmured. He neutralized a biointerrogation unit using sheer wit and Herculean resilience. Scarius descended from the platform, her voice a glacial steel blade. You attempt to defy. Threxan command mandates. Carl folded his arms, ma'am. I've weathered 3 divorces, 2 HOA battles, and once conquered IKEA on a Saturday. You think your futuristic fetish. Dungeon frightens me. A pause. A pregnant, simmering pause, then a flicker at the edge of her mouth. Not quite a smile, more like a muscle straining to recall joy. Dismiss the others, she commanded her guard. I shall evaluate him personally. The chamber darkened as the doors sealed shut. Carl rotated his neck. Now this is getting interesting. You believe this is mere amusement? Hardly. It's Tuesday. I intend to dismantle you. He approached menacingly. Darling, I sincerely hope so. She scrutinized this peculiar, self-satisfied human, devoid of fear, with a libido defying all known science. For the first occasion in years, the general experienced an unfamiliar sensation in her core, a blend of uncertainty, anticipation, and something that bordered uncomfortably on exhilaration. Carl smirked. Let the games begin. Princess, chin up, Carl quipped, cracking his knuckles. Trust me, first dates can get far messier. I recall a Reno escapade involving a ferret. Let's not go there. Scaria remained unresponsive, her jaw clenched, her posture rigid. Tendrils of her intricately braided battle hair curled ever so slightly in the sealed chamber's pressure. The unsuccessful trial had silenced her, yet her luminous pupils scrutinized Carl, as if he were an incomplete puzzle that was inexplicably piecing itself together. Commence stimulus endurance trial, she commanded tersely. A new gateway has been unlocked. The illumination deepened into a somber hue. Throbbing red, the floor resonated subtly under Carl's bare feet. An insistent hum began, a low, rhythmic thrum like a nightclub attempting to charm a microwave. The extraterrestrial platform was adorned with plush ridges, and a central dome radiated intense heat. Is this some kind of pleasure palace or a sick bay? Carl inquired, his gaze sweeping the room. Not that I'm complaining, but I appreciate clarity. You will remain confined within the focal chamber for precisely 9 Threxan cycles, Scarius declared. Any effort to escape will activate neuroinhibition. 9 cycles. Carl cocked his head, pondering. That sounds like foreplay or taxes. Silence. Arms crossed, a nod to the panel. The hum escalated. The floor pulsed beneath him, a jolt through his core. Carl's brows arched. Actually not bad. The room amplified. Panels hissed open, releasing intoxicating pheromone aromas. Music swelled, a haunting blend of moans and whale song, strangely alluring. Carl relaxed, rolling his shoulders. Honestly, better than some massages I've had. Observe closely, Earth-Tide Parlors declared, upping the ante to 70%. Don't you dare stop, Carl murmured, eyes shut. This is the sole human touch I've experienced all week. Scaria scrutinized her, face inscrutable. Others would be writhing, pleading. He looked almost amused, like one anticipating their order. 80%, Carl yawned. 90%, he cracked his neck. Ironically, this evokes my ex-wife's boudoir. Bizarre illumination, murky consent, excessive tech, and frustratingly, still no release. Scaria shattered the digital stillness. He blinked. Seriously? No fanfare? No pleasure gauge? Her nostrils flared. Your neural resilience is extraordinary. I'm immune, darling. Been there. Done that. You persisted in ridiculing the procedure. He advanced, invading her space. No, I'm merely deciphering the actual evaluation from the clumsy courtship ritual advertised on your extraterrestrial dating profile. Briefly, her fingers clenched as if contemplating crushing his throat, but instead she pivoted and guided him to an adjacent room. He trailed, hands clasped behind his head, humming an indiscernible tune. Resembling a clandestine serenade, this chamber diverged starkly, sterile, steely, yet intensely personal, confining them. A solitary chair stood beside a radiant console. No guards, no watchful drones. Sit, she instructed. He arched an eyebrow. Acquiring me a beverage this instance, or progressing directly to the instruments of coercion? Dismissing his query, she activated a panel, conjuring a projection. A mesmerizing cartography of FXN, biometrics, glyphs representing hormonal states, bond architecture. I've orchestrated the command of 3 armadas, incinerated celestial bodies, and subjugated entire star systems, she declared deliberately. Never before have I encountered. Resistance, huh? Carl mused, leaning closer. I'm not resisting. I'm savoring this. You're just incredibly inept at foreplay. She retorted sharply. I'm not seeking emotional intimacy. Then, he countered, quit staring into my eyes when you speak, and perhaps consider donning a shirt. Or not. I'm adaptable. She stiffened. Why won't you submit? Carl's voice deepened. Because this isn't a contest. You're not trying to control me. You're striving to validate something within yourself. Perhaps to prove you're still capable of feeling when there's no chaos. Her jaw tightened. Silence descended once more before her voice, almost a whisper, commanded, initiate. Final trial, the chair ignited. He settled in limbs casually draped over its edges. So this is where you probe my deepest traumas while zapping my nips? Nope, she retorted. This is front row seating to your spectacular downfall. A laser grid meticulously mapped his physique. Robotic arms emerged, one applying a conductive gel to his chest, another securing a bioluminescent loop around his thigh. A final sensor delicately scanned his head. Carl smirked, eyes still shut. Well, aren't we getting extravagant? Feels like an intergalactic gentleman's club. The only thing is a mournful sax and a disapproving dad. She fixed him with a steady gaze following a muted beep. The console blared, then sparked. Carl cracked open an eye. Was that part of the plan? The board flashed crimson. Error, it declared. Subject's emotional response far exceeds predicted parameters. Dopamine surge detected. Unprecedented stimulation achieved. Compatibility over 97%. Scaria froze. What does that imply? Carl inquired. She remained silent as he nonchalantly removed the gel. So, a pass then? Or am I, by planetary law, now betrothed to you? Her gaze remained fixed. You clearly underestimated this, he stated, his voice deepening with gravity. You presumed... I'd crumble, yet you're the one quaking, she retorted, her tone razor-edged. Frankly, distinguishing between your kind's perspiration or malfunctions is beyond me. Taking a bold stride, she closed the gap. He stood firm. Another inch, their breaths mingling, her voice laced with controlled fury. You flout every regulation. Carl murmured. Perhaps those rules were crafted for adolescents, not seasoned individuals. With a swift, decisive motion, she seized his collar. He smirked. Now we're communicating effectively. The shift commenced, science dissolving into sheer, electrifying tension. Dominance to craving from experiment to surge, Carria sensed intensity, unaware of Carl's upcoming phase. A peculiar hush fell as his collar loosened, not preemptive, but steeped in breathless anticipation. Her lingering touch, his unwavering smirk, as though deciphering her deepest desires. She recoiled, arms rigid, eyes flickering. The floor seemingly hesitant to meet his gaze, fearing it might unleash an unfamiliar, unsettling sensation. Not fear, which was unknown to her, but a curious tingle beneath her skin, impervious to scans, injections, or chemical treatments. Carl advanced deliberately, head cocked. You okay? You're staring at me like I'm your most cherished challenge. I harbor no favorites, she retorted a bit too sharply. Charming, he responded, but you're beginning to sound like someone contemplating the flavor of my kiss. Like she wheeled around a blush blossoming up her neck. You are unbearable, factually. Yes, and yet here I remain unread, still whole, still utterly intact. He gestured towards her. But you're fraying. I do not fray, she spat. Right, you just... What's the phrase? Emit hormonal variance signals suggesting possible affective volatility. He mimed quotes with his hands. Her hands tightened. She loathed his accuracy. Her physique was exposing her every scan, every model, every demeaning a glitch in her meticulously crafted composure had propelled her into this intimate standoff, facing a human male who rendered even capitulation alluring. Casually propped against a console, he posited, curious why your assessment went awry? You approached humanity as a mere instrument of destruction, yet we transcend weaponry. We are disorder cloaked in allure, trauma enshrouded in comfort. Pivoting back, her voice deepened. Then enlighten me. He paused. What if my methods eclipse yours? Reveal to me my deficiencies. Oh. Carl straightened. See? That's how you end up strapped to a bed with jumper cables and 50 shades in Klingon. She advanced, gaze unwavering. You talk much, yet reveal nothing. You jest, but never unveil. I demand you demonstrate this human connection. Carl's grin wavered. He examined her. No sarcasm, no slyness, just raw strength, pride, and utter bewilderment. You're serious? I've ruled galaxies, she stated, voice softer. I've crushed civilizations, incinerated treaties, and luxuriated in the blood of traitors. Yet I've never experienced anything like this, and I despise the uncertainty. Carl massaged his neck. Well, damn, that's the nearest I've heard to a space goddess requesting a rendezvous. Her gaze intensified. Label it as you wish, but I desire it with you. He sighed and chuckled gently. Careful, you're on the verge of discovering what most Earth women realize after 3 margaritas. You crave me until you possess me. I'll embrace that gamble. Carl approached, halting before her. Very well. Rule number 1, no armor. If genuine connection is your aim, You commence by shedding the defenses. Her gaze intensified, yet she deftly reached behind her neck, activating 2 release points. Her armor unsealed with a soft hiss, plummeting to the floor with a resonant thud. Beneath, she wore a form-fitting, practical, soft fabric top. Akin to a uniform undershirt, it still made his throat constrict. Rule 2, Carl stated. You listen intently without formulating a verbal counteroffensive. She offered a deliberate nod. Rule 3, he continued, closing the distance further. When a man articulates that you are stunning, refrain from attempting homicide. She arched an eyebrow. Are you implying that I possess a lure? I'm saying, ever since your intoxicating pheromones nearly floored me, my gaze has been fixated on you. This time, her eyes remained locked on mine, her hand ascending hesitantly, as if questioning its own intention, then delicately tracing my jawline with a tenderness that surprised even herself. My hand instinctively covered hers, fingers entwining around her wrist. There it is, I breathed. The precise instant control fades, and something far more profound emerges. She hesitated, lips trembling slightly. Carl remained patient, savoring the moment. When their lips met, it wasn't a frenzy, but a tender exploration, as if afraid to stir the universe. The kiss intensified, igniting a fire within. She gasped, pulling away, breathless. What just happened? He smirked. That, my dear, was merely the overture. The main performance involves tongues, and possibly a rogue leg cramp. Proceed, she urged, her voice quivering. Absolutely certain? I questioned. Go on, he conceded. What ensued transcended any mere test. It wasn't remotely comparable. This wasn't a meticulously crafted sequence or a skillfully orchestrated allure. It was raw, passionate, almost awkward at moments. His chuckle as she grazed a sensitive spot on his neck, her guttural sound as he kissed beneath her jawline, the way her claws tore into the wall beside his head as she relinquished control, the breathless, "Oh my God," he whispered as their hips finally met. They were no longer equals. They were diametrically opposed forces colliding head-on, a tempestuous clash igniting the ship's failing sensors. As the tempest subsided, at least momentarily, she lay sprawled across him, eyes wide with exertion, chest rising and falling rapidly, her voice a mere whisper. I can't feel my thighs. Ah, welcome to the joys of the human experience, Carl murmured, gently stroking her hair. We affectionately refer to that as cardio. She blinked, a hint of amusement in her eyes. I don't entirely despise it. A performance I consistently aspire to deliver, often succeeding serendipitously, he quipped. He slowly sat up, surveying the scene. Scorched panels, the erratic flicker of the ceiling sensor, and a distorted mass that once resembled a combat knife on the floor. You're surprisingly decent, he murmured, drawing her near. For a domineering alien warlord with a penchant for carnage. And you're not entirely hopeless, she retorted, nestling against him. I might require further convincing. You'll need to execute a formal consent agreement. I'd sign anything for you. He chuckled, his chest vibrating. Damn, you truly shattered your own principles. She grinned into his skin. Perhaps certain regulations are destined to be defied. And in that instant, the subsequent chapter transcended opposition or evaluation. It became about the aftermath. Give in, admit you loved it. The air pulsed with intense heat, not just from physical touch, but a silent, slow unraveling. Her breath calmed, but her mind raced. She'd quelled uprisings, weathered cosmic storms, decimated worlds, yet none prepared her for the aftermath of a human touching her, not just taking her, but branding her pride. Carl, already dressing with nonchalant ease, hummed as he slipped on his shirt over his head. He faltered, gaze drawn to her languid pose and knowing smirk. "Still compiling intel?" he inquired. "Merely optimizing," she retorted, a hint of irony lacing her tone. A chuckle escaped him. "Then I trust the analysis is rigorous, as I intend to disseminate these findings widely." Alien Commander unearths the dual nature of the human form, a formidable weapon and a haven of comfort. Her silence was broken only by the faintest twitch of her lips, confirming his enduring impact. The realization sparked a familiar mix of irritation and exhilaration. Her limbs remained heavy, her thoughts sluggish, struggling to reignite the unwavering resolve that defined her. Finished securing his boots, he nonchalantly leaned against the control panel, acting as if he were in his own garage rather than a foreign warship. "So, General, did I ace your impromptu assessment?" She scrutinized him. "You circumvented it, ridiculed it, subverted its very purpose. But did I fail?" Her silence resonated louder than any verbal retort. He grinned, tapping the console's edge. "Well, what's next? A commendation? A token of gratitude? Or are we fast-forwarding to the intergalactic nuptial customs of your people?" "There are no such customs," she grumbled. "There will be," he countered, "eventually. Your precious empire will undoubtedly view this spectacle," she remarked, feigning innocence. "Footage, really?" he retorted, amused. "Your crew conveniently forgot to deactivate the cameras. They likely possess a multi-angle replay and a pristine soundboard of your pleasure, primed for immediate broadcast." A flicker of realization crossed her face, confirming his suspicions. He erupted in genuine laughter, unrestrained. "I swear you beings are consumed with observation and experimentation, neglecting actual living. It's no wonder I disrupted the algorithm. You've been fixated on scrutinizing when you should have been engaging with humanity," he mocked. She nonchalantly brushed off her thighs, demonstrated resilience, become radically disruptive, and shockingly effective. "This juncture demands categorization." Carl quipped, "Acknowledge reality. You face defeat, and your entire domain is spiraling because a gym teacher from Des Moines unlocked your war goddess's full potential. You label me vulgar. I embrace honesty, becoming a galactic asset." She conceded, accessing a concealed panel on the back wall, entering a sequence. The floor realigned, unveiling an elevated platform radiating an ethereal blue glow. Ascending to her authority, a directive issued from her position of influence, she declared. Carl arched an eyebrow. "Are we foregoing morning repast and diving headfirst into risque role-playing? This is official." He approached with a languid, playful gait. "Everything feels rather ceremonial when one is devoid of trousers, but I'm intrigued." She took her seat, her gaze fixed upon him, her tone modulated by Threxan procedure. "I am empowered to present a revision to interspecies alliance conventions. Your actions constitute a significant dominance reversal initiator, rendering you a viable candidate for..." Classified as a tactical-grade partner, he grimaced. "That's simultaneously complimentary and alarming." "It implies," she declared, "you're officially designated an influence class asset, legally bound to me under Article 7 of the Close Quarters Combat Charter. He paused, stunned. Hold on. Did you just cosmically marry me? She remained steadfast. Carl circled slowly, hands on his hips, exclaiming, "Damn, I only wanted to fluster you, not finalize galactic bureaucracy. Mom cautioned this'd unfold if I pursued relationships beyond my scope. You now possess high-level authorization. To my private chambers, access to strategic command granted." She paused, then added, "You're empowered to escalate engagements as needed." He approached her throne, leaned in, and murmured, "That's quite possibly the most officially sanctioned proposition I've ever received." Her fingers tightened on the throne, but she remained still. "I must caution," he continued. "Humans engage in frequent, often spontaneous couplings, sometimes driven by mere tradition." She fixed him with a stare. "I am adaptable." He smirked. "You'll absolutely require a protein subscription." Their intense connection transcended mere interaction. She gazed at him, a fusion of formidable war goddess and extraordinary alien legend, entwined in an unforeseen and somewhat uncontrollable situation. Her gaze remained firm, yet her voice gentled as she asserted, "Don't you dare disappoint me." He kissed her brow, replying, "I'd pledge never, but that's an impossibly high bar. Let's strive for consistently exceptional satisfaction." A sharp knock echoed at the chamber door. A soldier rushed in, visibly disturbed. "Commander, this is urgent. You have to witness this." She followed him outside, Carl lagging slightly, shirt askew, still whistling. The bridge was pandemonium. Scores of officers whispered anxiously. Screens blazed with empire-wide headlines. Hack broadcasts leaked terrifying footage. Despite the daunting situation, Carl maintained his nonchalant demeanor, his confidence unwavering. An admiral, ashen-faced, reported, "They've witnessed everything. The council demands immediate communication." She asserted, her voice resolute, "Tell them to hold." Carl, arms crossed, added, "Yeah, she's occupied." The admiral faltered. "Occupied with what?" Carl winked. "A crucial morning protocol assessment, you know." Her devoted crew exchanged glances. The cosmos would never be the same. She retreated to Carl's side, her voice resolute. "Let them speculate. Let them descend into chaos. Let them dissect every moment of our downfall." Carl embraced her. "They'll grasp what we've come to understand." She declared, "Certain forces defy calculation. Some triumphs cannot be seized. And some leaders," Carl finished, kissing her temple, "simply need some intimacy." The bridge fell silent. Then a suppressed chuckle escaped an officer, followed by another, erupting into unrestrained laughter. Her warriors, her advisors, her entire reign, undone by a single man. In gym shorts, a ridiculous grin plastered on her face. Her laughter echoed. Then she murmured, barely a breath, yet undeniably present, "I think I'm actually starting to fancy humans." Carl squeezed her waist. "Strap in, sweetheart. You have absolutely no clue what tantalizing tricks I can perform with whipped cream."